The Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bobcaygeon. I'm one of your hosts, Terry.
And I'm the other one, Jim.
The empty chair is being occupied, although...
It's, what are you saying?
I don't know where I was going with it.
What's with that?
What's with that? I don't know.
My personality isn't strong. I tried to come on real strong there.
You did. We're talking about politics. Maybe that's what's got me flabbergasted. We were asked, the Jim and Terry Show was asked, through one of our comments,
well,
that
what show asked
stay spiritual.
Stay spiritual.
Now, did you know that, or you didn't know that? Because you can't get it? Because you haven't adjusted your phone? Because you don't know the technology to get YouTube on your phone? Because you're an old guy who doesn't know anything?
Yeah, listen, sons, I'm not seeing any YouTube, not SpaceX, nothing. When you guys come up this weekend, please help me get my YouTube back.
Help, I've lost my technology and I can't get up.
Where's my cane? Where's my cane? I left my cane.
We're at a certain stage when we can't even use our phones.
Yeah, it's. I got into something, my bell thing. I finally got it working. So.
Wow, so you can do stuff.
But this, and my eyes go blind when I get all messed up. So
there you go. So
my eyes are good, but reading still sucks like crazy.
All right, so you haven't fixed your phone, which means the YouTube is unavailable to you.
Just needs me to confirm who I am.
That means you haven't seen the comment that said,
no.
Love to hear your take on the by-election in Toronto, St. Paul's riding, and the Conservative candidate won.
Yes, and they should have known better to send that to you. I'm going to call you Mr. Numbers.
I thought,
because you've got the reason why the Conservative won.
I've got a handful of reasons. Right. I just looked at the thing because I'm curious about all these things. Politics to me, I know you don't like it. I'm
opting out.
It deflates you, I think.
Opting out.
You're opting out. Well, that's part of the problem, and I'll get to that.
I know. I'm now part of the problem. Good, because my solutions didn't work.
Oh, I didn't know you had solutions.
I had all kinds.
Okay, well, maybe you can offer your solutions at the end of the program. Let's talk about the election in terms of the numbers that I gave you once I started to look into it. Because I thought, first of all, who really cares about elections? Nobody. A by-election? Even fewer people care about a by-election. Now, this was being hailed, and I'll start with media analysis first of all and just say, and this is not part of my numbers, it was just an observation. I saw all kinds of headlines from all kinds of media, including your traditional media and then social media, all saying the sky is falling, Trudeau's done, he needs to get out, and the Liberals might have a chance at the next election, 2025. But it was all gloom and doom. What does this mean for the Liberals? They're done, they're toast, they're fried. There's one guy, I sort of see his stuff posted on my Twitter feed, and I don't follow him, but his stuff keeps coming out. And I don't know who he is, but it's gloom and doom all the time. Every single one has a tagline on it. Trudeau must go. Trudeau must go. Trudeau, it's done. Chrystia Freeland's done. They're done. They're all done. Liberals are done. Everybody's done. It's all negative stuff. So anyway, that's part of my observation is that the Canadian population, regardless of whether you're social media savvy or traditional media savvy, you're being fed a diet of negativity for the most part. And this is even from what I would have said was a traditional liberal mainstream media, the Toronto Star. Even they are putting up these headlines that are catastrophic and calamitous and negative. And I'm thinking, hang on a second, it's a by-election. Who cares? Well, some people do, and it's one seat, but it's a by-election, which means when the regular election is held, it has to be run again. It's a by-election is just to fill a vacancy that happened in between the elections. So it's a by-election. The other thing is the riding. St. Paul's, so I started to look at the demographics of St. Paul's, and you can go to the Government of Canada and look at the census and find out what kinds of people live in there. What's the ethnicity? What's the wealth? What's the median income? What's the median style of housing? Is it mostly apartment dwellers, or is it homes, individual homes, or is it row housing? What kind of thing is it? Townhouses? What are we talking about here? So when you start poking around the demographics of St. Paul's, you can see that it's really a changing demographic down there. Is it a safe Liberal seat? Well, some people said it was, it's been liberal for 30 years. Okay, does that mean it's going to be liberal forever? Do people change? Yes, they do. What does it speak to? Does it speak to the real hate for Trudeau? If you were to follow the media, you would say everybody in Canada hates Trudeau. Everybody wants to see him gone. 7 out of 10 Canadians surveyed. Don't get me talking about polls and surveys. That's another issue. But I'm led to believe that everybody is done with Trudeau. And this by-election is an indicator that everybody's done. See, we told you. It's the end. Trudeau's done. Chrystia Freeland's done. The Liberals are done. It's the beginning of the end. He should resign right now. Why wait till 2025 when you can do it now?
But you checked into some things, didn't you, Terry?
I just did my little numbers analysis because facts matter. And this was the first time I'd ever seen this thing. But then I started to look at this phenomenon and this one fellow and starting to put some pieces together, and it seems like there's do I call it intentional messing around with ballots? Or do I say the Canadian electoral system allows for this, therefore it's okay? Regardless of how you put this thing, the numbers don't lie. 74 candidates were sponsored by this one person, one individual. And if you check out the history of this...
So was that like $7,000 he had to dish out?
No, that's the thing. There used to be, and this was overturned in an Alberta case that was filed. So again, Alberta, suspicious of things going on there. But this gentleman challenged a case that said to have to fund, to put $1,000 for every time you want to sponsor a candidate, that should be bygone, right? Isn't democracy dependent on people participating? So $1,000 is counter-participating. And he won his case, which meant that you'd no longer have to put up $1,000. So what does he do? Well, in the Toronto writing case, 75 names he sponsored as what? Independent, non-aligned, non-affiliated, and he's the sponsor. 75, that would have cost him $75,000. Would that make you hesitate to do this kind of stuff? So do I call it ballot tampering?
Yeah, I do.
The court allowed it.
Yeah, well, I think that's wrong. And I do think if you're going to run, you should be, even if maybe if you win, you get that back. But I think there's
a deposit.
A deposit. I think there should be a deposit. And if you don't win, you lose it.
Yeah, okay.
If you win, you get it back.
Okay.
Or maybe the top 2 or something, you get it back, or the top 3.
Okay, save this discussion because that's a solution that's worth exploring.
I think so.
All right, let's getting back to the numbers of the problem. 590 is the first number that I sent you, and I don't know if that's the final number. It's the one that I found the morning after the election. And that's the number of votes difference between the Conservative and the Liberal, the top 2 candidates, the Liberal and Conservative. 590 votes. So that begs a question of, what's the size of this riding then? How many eligible voters are there? And is that number significant? And the answer is, that's like a percentage difference between those two finishes. The guy who gets it and the guy who loses it, that's a pretty big, I think it was 1.5% difference between the two candidates. So you can't tell me, oh, the sky is falling, the Liberals are toast and they're done, when it's a neck-and-neck race. And this time, the Conservatives came on top. But next time, because that's going to come again in 2025.
Well, this is why I'm starting to get fed up with politics. But what I would do right now, knowing that one guy put in the bag 75 or 74 people, I would have, I would mischief. I would charge him with mischief.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, I would. There should be a law. That is literally tampering with democracy.
Okay, so let's find out if there is going to be a legal challenge to this, and will it go back to Alberta, which was the case that overturned this? Let's see, and let's follow it. That's a great idea, and I like the refundable deposit. Just show you're serious by coming up.
Yeah.
And, if 1,000 is not 5, it's not 10, maybe it should be higher. We could talk about...
Well, if you're a legitimate candidate, I'm sure you could raise $1,000.
With the GoFundMe.
Yeah, you just have a barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue.
Yeah, that's all.
Don't talk about Rob Ford and Doug Ford and his barbecues.
Yeah, but I mean, that's all you need to do, and you could raise that money.
Okay, so that's one number. The difference between the first and second place finish is negligible, so don't claim, oh, it's a slap on the face to Trudeau and Freeland. It's not. It's a by-election, and 590 is nothing to gloat over. It's a very slim margin, and that's with that election. Tampering the 75 unaligned, less than, well, some of them did get 0.1%, 1 vote, 2 votes. If you start chipping away at 590 and you got 75 and they got 5 votes each, 10 votes.
Well, I told you I've been opting out a little bit on this.
Uninvolved.
And so do we have enough time to discuss, because I heard it on the radio here, on a left-wing radio show,
On your way here.
something about Trudeau needs to go. And so what's wrong with him?
Can we get to that in maybe a second show?
Sure.
I want to wrap up this with
All right.
this is by the numbers, the St. Paul's writing. So
Okay.
590 was the first comment. The second comment is 1.6%. That's the difference in the percentage between, I said 1.5, 1.6 between the CPC
The
and
winner
the
and the
Liberal.
loser.
Between the first and second place, which really means there's no second place. You just win or you don't.
Yeah.
Which takes me to a solution.
That's
that
a whole nother thing you
we'll
want to go
talk
through,
about
yeah.
again. The next number is 42%, which is roughly the number of votes cast out of all the eligible people who could have cast. 42%. And when I combine that number with 42.1%, which is the number of votes who actually voted, number of ballots actually voted for that Don Stewart in that riding. If I multiply those together, I get a statistic that reminds me of Doug Ford's last election. 17% of the people who actually cast ballots and were eligible voted for a Doug Ford government. 17% gave him a majority in the Ontario
Well, it would have
legislature.
been the reverse,
So-
Terry, though. If it had been the reverse, the 17%
Well,
would have been
that
Liberal.
gets me to something I've said for years, which
I
is
know.
Fair Vote Canada. Change it up. Let's change the system, and we can talk about
And
that.
I'd be interested in that and interested in hearing that.
Well, the
About-
number 42%,
Yeah.
if I got that mark on a test or an exam or anything, I would be failing.
Yeah.
So I would like that rule to apply to democracies too. You get 42% of the people voting for you, that's not enough. We need consensus building. We need to build a big tent and invite everybody with different opinions in so we can talk about our differences and then decide. And we can do that with ballot changes.
Terry for Prime Minister, I'm just saying.
I would vote for you, my friend, because character matters, and that'll take us to another conversation about politics. The Jim and Terry Show signing off. St. Paul's writing, I'm a little suspicious myself. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.